Okay, so welcome to room two with Dean and Matt. I will now pass you over to the very capable hands of Mr. Dean Stokes.
Thank you very much. Hello, everyone. Good evening, good afternoon, good morning, wherever abouts you are in the world. As I explained in the lobby, my name's Dean. I work at a secondary school in Essex. I actually work across two different schools. We're part of a massive trust that has 68 academies. It's the biggest multi-academy trust in the UK. And the whole trust pretty much is using Google Apps for education. Aside from teaching, I also look after technology in terms of training, so I make sure all of our staff know how to use it. So what I'd like to do today is share 20 quick ideas for you to use Google Apps in your classroom. So I'm just going to share my screen over here. It is this one, so you're going to see me twice on your screen. Here we go. Right, so at the end of this presentation, I'm going to give you a QR code and a link so you can access these slides yourself. And what I'd really like to hear is in the today's Meet chat room, I'll jump into that at the end as well. So if you've got any ideas or comments, maybe questions about some of the things that I show, it would be really good to see them. Now, I originally designed this so that it could be shown in 20 minutes at BET, and I presented it a couple of times on the stand this year, last week, which was great. There's a nice big crowd. Everybody really seemed to enjoy it, so I hope you can take at least one idea away in the next 20 minutes. So it's really quick ideas in 20 minutes. I'll stop and demo a couple of them, but for the rest of the time, I'm just going to quickly explain the idea and give you an idea of what that looks like. So without further ado, number one is let students work collaboratively on docs or slides and peer assess using comments. So this is kind of the bread and butter of using Google Apps in your classroom, right? Having a piece of work completed on a Google Doc and then having the students comment on it. If you've never seen that before, this is what it looks like. So I've got a document here. To leave a comment, I just highlight a piece of text like this and click the comments button, and it leaves a comment over the side of the page. Now, a great addition actually that just appeared in the last couple of days is if I highlight the text, just on the right-hand side of the page, a small circular comment button shows up. I can click on that and then leave a comment. Now, at our schools, we do a red pen, green pen feedback system. So the teacher marks in red pen, and the students have to respond using green pen, and we have this continuous dialogue on the piece of work about how we're going to improve it. Just make this a touch bigger. So that's great for teacher-student dialogue, but also for peer assessment as well. Having students share their document with somebody else in the class and then assessing each other's work and replying to the comments and improving it based on what another student said. I think that's really, really powerful. Number two, use forms to set tests, assessments, or homeworks, and then automate it all. Automate all your marking, using SuperQuiz or Flubroo, which are two add-ons for Google Sheets. They're really, really good. SuperQuiz is made by our very own Ollie Trussell, who's here tonight. And if you've never used forms before, it's massively underrated or underused, at least. It's a hidden tool in Google Drive. You just need to click on the New button, and then More, and then Google Forms. And you can use this for a multitude of things. We've used it to send surveys to parents. All of our incidents in our school are now online. We're completely paperless in that area. Also, all of our staff absences. But one of the best uses is for quizzes and assessments in lessons, especially if you want to try and save yourself time with assessment and marking. So here's what it looks like. This picture over here on the left is the new Google Forms. It looks really great. It's really simple to use, and you can actually edit forms in the browser on any device now, whether it's an iPad, tablet, a phone. In the browser, you can edit using the new Google Forms on a mobile device, which is a great addition. So you can do them on the fly. Just knock up a quick quiz on your way into work if you get the bus or train in, and then set that and have it marked for the students. Now this screenshot here, this is Flubroo, so this is one of the add-ons in Google Sheets. It's completely free, and this lets you do all the marking automatically, and it will send the feedback to those students as well. And then finally, on the right-hand side here, this is a screenshot of SuperQuiz made by Ollie. Very similar to Flubroo, except SuperQuiz allows a bit more personalized feedback, I think. So it will send a document back that has broken down feedback based on the different topics and questions that you've asked in your quiz, and that's a really nice touch. Moving swiftly on then, number three, use slides to develop a create your own adventure story. Slides is here. The reason I'm presenting like this, by the way, rather than presenting in a separate window, is just to stop me having to jump in and out later on when I do some demos. But use slides to develop a create your own adventure story, a really robust tool. Have students come up with a story, but rather than just write it as an essay, make it kind of come alive and give the audience a choice in what happens. So I could have a slide that says, And there was a man walking through a forest, and he turned left or right, and then depending on whether the person decides left or right, a different part of the story happens. And we use hyperlinks in slides to make that happen. And you can even make those public on the web then as well, so people can go and enjoy them for themselves. A really nice touch in Google Slides. Number 4, task students with creating collections of art from Cultural Institute to critically analyse. Cultural Institute is great, and I'm just going to stop for a second here to show you exactly what it looks like. So this is a website. You don't need a Google Apps for Education account to access it. It's completely public. Anybody in the world with an internet connection can access this site, and it is phenomenal. So there are 3 sections: art project, historic moments, and world wonders. That's great. You know, it makes it sound like it's great for art, history, and geography, but actually this works for any subject. There is so much stuff on here that you can use it as a stimulus all the way across the curriculum. I just want to give you an example of what some stuff might look like. So if I search for Van Gogh, or Van Gogh, whichever you prefer, I can actually look at the Van Gogh Museum here. Now, there are a number of reasons that I might not want to take students to Amsterdam on a school trip, so we could street view around the gallery itself. So I could actually have a look around here, see what there is to offer, and have a look at all the artwork on the walls, which is fantastic. A nice experience for the students. If they've never been to an art gallery, they can get an idea of what it might look like before they go. But this is my absolute favourite. All of these pieces of art here, individually collected on Cultural Institute. And let's just see, if I zoom in to part of the painting here, give it a second just to render. Now let's see the detail here in the artwork is crazy. Now, if I got this close in the art gallery, I'd probably be kicked out. But this is great for art students to see how the brush strokes work. I mean, we're so close here, we can see the cracks in the paint, and I just think that is great. So the next thing I can do then, just to take this a step further, is I can click this compare button here, and it's going to add it to my compare list at the bottom. Then I might search for a different piece of art, or a different type of art, like pointillism. And pointillism, if you've not heard of it before, is where you paint with dots. I'm not an artist. This is as far as my art knowledge goes. But here we go. So if I zoom in here, again, we'll just give it a second. So now we can start to see the dots in this painting. So if I click the compare button up here as well, and then start comparing these works of art, I can zoom them in right next to each other and get a sense of exactly how different the style of painting is. So right over here, we can see how the brush is stroked across the canvas, and over here, definitely lots of small dots make up this area. Now, students can make their own galleries where they can add their own descriptions, and they can upload YouTube videos to them as well. So they can make a video analyzing these works of art and then hand that in as their piece of work. And if you wanted to, even make it public, which I think is awesome. There's so much more on here though. So just to give you an example quickly, we could go to the Great Barrier Reef, for example. This is in the World Wonders section, and I could street view underwater at the Great Barrier Reef and swim with some turtles. Here we go, like this. This is crazy. You know, it would be impossible to take students on a school trip from the UK to Australia, really. So this just allows for things that would never have been possible before. All right, so that's number 4. Number 5, join Google Open Gallery to show off your school's artwork. Google Open Gallery essentially allows you to have your own cultural institute for your school. You can embed it in your website. So let's say you've got an art exhibition coming up and lots of parents can't make it. They can then attend virtually online, just get all the content on there the day after, and you can even have the content curated by students and give that to them as a task. Really, really good tool. And you'll see at the bottom of all these slides, there's a link. And so when you have access, I'll give you the link to this deck at the end. You can just click on those links and find out the tools that I'm talking about. It's google.com/open gallery. Sign up really quickly and easily and start to put your content on. So number 6, help students learn how to pronounce numbers by searching a number followed by in English. A really simple search tip, but really powerful, again, particularly for primaries. So let's just see how this looks. Let's say I've typed a number here, so 243569 in English. It tells me it's 243,569. Yeah, really great for students that struggle with seeing those big numbers and breaking it down really easily. No longer do you need to go over there and explain it and say it out loud. They can now read the numbers for themselves. So number 7, another search tip, this time search timer on Google to help keep your lesson on track. This is what it looks like. If I search for timer, it'll give me a 5-minute timer on the screen and I can start it. But actually, I could just search for 5-min timer, and it will give me a 5-minute timer that starts counting down as soon as the page is loaded. I can do the same for 10 minutes, 20 minutes. And if I really want to up my game, then I can add a folder like this where it says timers. And I've got a number of timers in here, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, 30 minutes. So I just click on one of those and it'll open up a page where it'll start counting down straight away. Really handy for quickly getting a timer in the lesson. That's only one click away. Number 8 then, use revision history to see how students are progressing over time. And then take this further by using Draftback to watch their work come together. Again, the revision history, a bread and butter part of Google Docs. It's really, really, really good. Just for looking back over how much work a student has done, who has done what over time. But you can take that even further using this extension called Draftback. So on the right-hand side here, here's how the traditional Google revision history looks like in a document right now. I can click on the right-hand side to see which student has done what, and they're highlighted in a color in the text. Over here on the left, though, this is an example of what Draftback looks like, and this literally plays back the creation of the document letter by letter. It's like I'm watching the person type it. But one of the best features of Draftback is I can actually see a list of the writing sessions that have taken place on a document. So I can start to get an understanding of whether the student really did sit down and take time over their work, or whether they just kind of dipped in and out for 30 seconds to a minute each time. Really, really powerful tools. And again, Draftback is completely free. Number 9, cite sources in Google Docs the easy way. So if you went to university, you would have done lots of writing, lots of essay curation and looking over lots and lots of different books and sources. Here's what that looks like. I can highlight a piece of text which is a reference in my document and then go to Tools and click Research. It pops out this pane on the right-hand side. And I find the thing that I'm referencing and just click this Cite button, and it adds a footnote at the bottom of the page for me. Now I can take that one step further. Over here, I can click on this Google icon and actually choose Google Scholar. Now Google Scholar is a search engine that would just search for white papers and books. I'm just going to check, are my slides still showing here?
Your slides have gone.
Okay, so let's jump in here. There we go. Can we see those?
They are back. That is good.
Perfect. So number 10, research how phrases have been used over time with Ngram Viewer. So Ngram Viewer, again, a hidden tool from Google. Now you might not know, but when you've used a captcha on a website, when you've typed in 2 random words or numbers to prove you're not a robot, Google is using that information to digitize hundreds of thousands of books that they've scanned. And they've got all of that data now, so that means that I can search for different words and see how they appear in books over time. So I could look for Albert Einstein, Holmes, and Frankenstein, for example, and here I can see the usage in the books over time. Particularly good, I think, for sociology and psychology. If I search the word selfie in here, the graph is actually completely empty, because at the moment the books only got up to about 2008. I think selfie came into mainstream usage maybe 2 years ago. So really, really interesting to search for different things. Number 11, digitize your worksheets by taking a picture, uploading it to Drive, and opening it in Docs. Not many people know that Google Docs has optical character recognition built in. That means I can scan a worksheet like this one here, for example, or take a picture of it. I just upload it to my Drive, right-click on it, open with, and then Google Docs. At that point, it sticks the image in a document for me and then puts all the text underneath the image here. It does a really good job of this. A couple of tips though, if you're going to do this, make sure it's nice and bright. There are no shadows on the piece of paper, and a nice flat piece of paper if you can. It will even look at a bold title and make the text bold when it reads the characters as well. Again, another underused hidden feature in Google Drive. So number 12, check out Expeditions for virtual field trips to give your students a 360-degree view of the world. Expeditions has just announced their beta, which means that you can sign up to use the apps on your own devices in school. The link is on the website at the bottom of that slide there when you have access to them. And last week at BET, Google were demoing Expeditions, and it is truly phenomenal. It's such a great way to bring a lesson alive, just for 10 or 15 minutes through the lesson, using it for all different subjects. We might go, for example, to the Great Wall of China and count the number of bricks in a section, and then work out how many bricks it would take to build the whole wall, and then how long it would take. So it's not just about geography. This is all the way across the curriculum, and there are even some expeditions which are a day in the life of particular professions. So I might see what a nurse sees in a hospital for a day, for example. Number 13, set up your classes on Classroom to create a truly digital workflow. If you're not already using Classroom, you should. It takes all of the hassle out of handing in and marking work digitally. So especially if you're already having typed work, then you get the students to use Classroom, have it all handed in there in one central place and grade it right there. You'll save so much time and it will make your life so much easier. Number 14, place Smarty Pins to help with geography and general knowledge. You might know that Googlers get 20% of their time to work on different projects. So this is a project that was made by some Googlers in that time. It's a really fun game using Google Maps that would be great as a kind of plenary at the end of the lesson, just something fun for the students to do and have a bit of a competition to see who can score the most points. Number 15, use the Share to Classroom extension to quickly share tabs with students. This extension allows you to click one button and then send a notification to a classroom of students that are logged into Google Chrome. They don't have to be in the room with you, they don't have to be on the same Wi-Fi network, they can be anywhere in the world so long as they're logged into Chrome, and they'll get the notification that you've shared a page with them. Really, really handy way just to quickly share something of interest on the web. Number 16, get creative using drawings. Another tool in Google Drive, I click on the new button and then click more and then drawings, and I get a tool where I can make cool stuff like this. So this is some examples of what my students have created in the past, where they made a 500-word story and then they had to visualize the characters in drawings. And it's also really good for drag and drop activities in primary. I have an example where I have currency like coins at the bottom of the screen and I have to drag and drop to make the correct amounts in rows. Also for PE, thinking about tactics of a game, moving players around on a diagram of a pitch, for example, to think about tactically how we're going to play. Number 17, use mind maps to visualize data. Again, a really powerful tool, and there's a session in room 1 after this one all about mind maps, but I just want to give you a really quick example of how this might work for you. All I do is go to google.com/mindmaps, and I can create a new map here. And there are loads of uses for this. You could use it to look at the data in your school. I'm actually going to give you an example that could be used in a geography lesson. So I've got some data from a form that asks for people's favourite places. And so right now it's just sat in a spreadsheet. So it's called My Favourite Places. Here we go. I select that spreadsheet. Now it's going to ask me 2 questions here. It's going to ask me, which column do I want to position my place mark in? So this needs to be a place. So my question is, what is your favourite place in the world? That's a column in the spreadsheet. So I'm going to tick that. And then it's going to ask me, when I click on the pin and it comes up with the box, what do I want the title to be? Well, I want it to be the person's name. So this could be a form that I've given to students to fill out or staff. Another example of this is a great one from Ollie, where I take the lates data for my school with the postcodes and I start to look at whether the students that live closest do have the most lates, which is kind of what lots of staff in schools seem to think. So here we go, it's plotted these points on the map, and I can click through and see all of the information. Now I can share these maps so that people can edit them in real time, just like we could a document as well. So if I click on a pin, I could add a photo, for example. So I think this was in Hungary. I could add a photo like this, and I can write a little description in here as well, and I can save that. So we could all work on a map together and come up with our favourite places. And just quickly to show you a couple of other tools, I could use this one here to add a line like this and draw around a country. So if I just draw around England, Wales and Scotland like this, I can then move this line and see the size. Let me try that again. Here we go. So let's draw a shape. Being very crude here, like this. And then I have a shape, and I can then drag this shape to another place to see the size of this country compared to another one. So here we can see that France is roughly 643,000 kilometers squared, which is slightly bigger than the UK and Ireland if I was to do those separately like that. But a really powerful tool. You could use this to map how a country's soldiers move through a war, and lots of other things in the classroom as well. So number 18, search for patterns and use the sketches and information to improve understanding. Google has a pattern search engine. Here's what it looks like if I search for phone. One of the top results is a cell phone with automatic external defibrillator. Great page here, particularly good this for design and technology students. Gives them an idea about how these technical drawings look and what kind of other information they need to be thinking about if they have an idea. 19, we're nearly there now. Have a Google a day to help students improve their search skills. Another 20% project from Googlers. Googleaday.com has 3 questions a day that are particularly hard to search for. You can't just Google the question. I need to think about exactly what I need to type in, find the keywords, and read for the answer. A really good way, again, just for 5 minutes at the end of the lesson, to improve the knowledge and understanding of students of searching Google. And then finally, 20, recreate landmarks and build other cool stuff using virtual Lego. This is by far one of my favorite sites to kill some time, but the kids love it. And again, just something fun to do. I can choose a spot somewhere in the world. I might recreate Big Ben, for example, in London, or Machu Picchu, or any other landmark, or anything else using virtual Lego. It's really good fun. Buildwithchrome.com. And that's it. They're my 20 quickfire ideas for using Google Apps for Education in the classroom. If you want to access this deck, please do. I'd love it if you've got any comments. I'm going to check the Unconference room in a second, and give me a follow on Twitter as well, @DeanStokes. I'd love to hear your feedback on those. And that's it from me.
Thanks very much, Dean. I'm going to pass you over to Matt, but before that, anyone got any questions, Matt? Anything you saw there which I know we lost you for a bit.
No, I'm okay. I mean,
he never fails to impress with his 20 quickfire. They seem to change a little bit. It seems to kind of tweak every now and then. Every time I see that, there's something new that I thought wasn't on them.
I try and update it every couple of months, or if there's lots of new features. So this was like a January 2016 version. So this is fresh out of the oven. I think we've lost Ollie there. Matt, do you want to jump in and start your session in a few minutes?
Yeah, I can do that. Thanks. Okay.
So just remind us, Matt, what are you presenting on?
I am presenting on Google Drive and also Chrome, working on extensions for Google Chrome and some of the top ones that I find useful that maybe you will also find useful in everyday life or in schools that you're in. So awesome. It's a brief overview of Drive and then jumping into Chrome. I'm just trying to get the presentation up now, but my screen sharing seems to be playing at the moment. I don't know if you guys can see this.
Yeah, you can see it.
Okay, cool. Yeah, it's because I've got now 3 screens, but that's okay. All right, so to start, just a bit about me, for those people that missed it. My name is Matt. I'm based in the Netherlands at the moment, originally from the UK, and I'm working at the moment in elementary school. It's American school, in helping out the IT department to integrate IT within the school. And our big thing at the moment is collaborative working and collaborative learning. So we're having a huge drive, excuse the pun, to use Google Drive and collaborate the best way we can from there. So I'm going to kick off and go for Google Drive. The first thing I think is a little introduction about me. That's basically just what I've said. I'm into my football as well, or soccer as I have to call it in my work. So what is Google Drive? Basically, it's an online storage. It's secure, safe, and simple. It isn't Docs or Sheets. I get a lot of people asking me whether or not they're the same thing, and they are not the same thing. They are part of Google Drive. You can save Docs, Sheets, Forms, and Slides in Drive. So you don't actually save Drive, but you save things within Google Drive. And basically, Drive's just like a memory stick. It's just a heck of a lot larger. Limits. What are the limits when you're driving? Well, the things that don't count are the Docs, the Sheets, the Slides, the Forms, and the drawings. So if you have a Google Apps for Education account, which a lot of schools do, you have unlimited storage. And if you have a personal account, then you're limited on the storage that you can have. And it's pretty good if you can get the Google Apps for Education. At the moment, I think I have about 45 gigs worth of stuff saved. So it's pretty handy to use. So where do you find your Drive? A lot of people especially my work at the moment, are asking me, where do you find Drive? And the easiest way that I think at the moment I've told them to find it is to go into Chrome. And I'll show you how to do that in a second. But when you go into Chrome, then there are several ways to do it. So if I open my Chrome browser, for example, and I go to a new window, you can find the Google Chrome. You can find it in apps, or you can just simply Google it. Or we tend to bookmark a lot of things in work at the moment for people to find. Or you can use the 9 squares when you're inside Google Chrome. And then I'm looking for Google Drive, of course, which is here. Or you can find it in your apps if you've downloaded them as well. Or you could type in drive.google.com as well, which will also take you to it. So navigating Drive. Basically, there are 5 important things to know about Drive, or places to find things. And My Drive is the file system for where everything is in your Drive. There's also incoming, which is where people have shared things with you, and you can find files that are incoming to you. Recent files, things that you have put in your Drive and also that other people have shared with you, you can find them in there. So if you can't find them in your Drive, I would always take a look in recent. Starred, that's basically favorites, things that you want to keep as sort of like a priority, like sometimes you do in your mail, so you always know where they are. And then, of course, the good old trash can. So I'll show you what that looks like. When you go into Drive, you can see the different things on the left-hand side when it goes in. Just wait a second for it to load. So this at the moment is going into my account that I use at work. And on the left-hand side here, it says My Drive, shared with me. I have Google Photos as well, recent, starred, and the trash. So basically, this is everything that's in my Drive. It has a limit, or the amount of memory that I've used here on the left-hand side as well. And this is what Dean was also talking about before when you find it in the new. So you can click on New, and there you can find new folders. You can create docs and slides. The view that's in Drive at the moment I have is almost like the files that you have in My Computer in Windows, or in the Finder in a Mac, and you can change it to list view, or you can change it to a grid view. And at the moment, mine's in grid, and it's entirely up to you how you choose to have that. So again, folders, pretty handy. Pin through my folder, it's always an interesting thing to do. You can change the colors of the things, and if you change the color for your folder, even if it's shared with somebody, then you don't have to worry about it changing for other people. It's just within your Drive. If you want to change all of them to red, that's fine, and somebody else that maybe has that folder shared with them will also just see their folder as the gray, which is the default color on the icons. So I always change mine depending on what we're doing.